Day number 5 before Cyberpunk 2077 takes over the world. What's up everybody, welcome back to a brand new Cyberpunk news and gameplay video. Today we have some more stuff to talk about. Of course, if you were paying attention to the internet for the past 24 hours, you likely know that there are a ton of leaks out there. So if you aren't actively searching for them, you're gonna be safe, but if you are, you're probably going to encounter quite a few of these, including like a ton of gameplay footage, a ton of character customization, a ton of details on that, and we will discuss about that in this video and more. So if you enjoyed this at any point, don't forget to leave a thumbs up on it. But let's begin with a really cool fact about the size of Cyberpunk 2077, especially in terms of its map size, and then we will talk about the huge amount of things that you're going to be able to jump into and complete right away in like the first few hours of the game. So first of all, the map size is likely going to be bigger than we initially expected. According to another YouTuber called EdgeRunner Cold, he managed to estimate the size of Cyberpunk's 2077 map, and of course he did quite a bit of detective work, like a ton of calculations, and a lot of thought process has gone into him determining the size of this. But long story short, according to him, the map of Night City and of course its surrounding areas, including of course the Badlands, would be about twice the size of the entire map of GTA 5, and about like what, 4 times or even 12 times that of Valent and Novigrad in Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. So that actually sounds quite insane, though I will say that I'm a bit skeptical about this. I don't think it's going to be exactly 2 times the size of GTA 5's entire map, to be honest. I think it's going to be probably about half the size of that. It's just my speculation on that, don't take my word for it. And besides, it's likely that in a couple more days, when the review embargo lifts, you are going to find out about the full-on real size of the game. It's just nice to know that the game is going to be larger than we initially anticipated. Now, speaking of larger, let's also talk about some other stuff that's going to go in hand with this one, which is true for the game when you will get to start it, play it, and for the very first time when you get to start playing Cyberpunk 2077, you will likely be extremely overwhelmed by the amount of stuff that you can do at one time in just the beginning hours of the game. Like, it's really insane how many things, how many side content missions, how many activities over there are, how many points of interest and other stuff that will pop off on the map even in the first few hours of the game. I will not go over too many details with the risk of getting like this video down or anything, but I'm just gonna leave it at that. You will be overwhelmed by the sheer amount of possibilities and things that the game throws at you at once, even in the beginning hours of the game. So maybe that 175 plus hours of dev game time that we had a couple of weeks ago is going to be similar to yours in just a few more days too. So it remains to be seen, but I will just leave it at that for now. Now, on the same note, we did talk about a day 0 patch yesterday that was about 44 gigabytes in size. Of course, eventually this was proved to be not the day 1 patch, as one of the CDPR people actually came in to confirm. So that was not a day 1 patch. Day 1 patch is going to still happen, and it will fix even more than that. But the user who talked about it came in with a ton more information since yesterday. So huge shout out to Scorpo187 over on Reddit. But according to him, his initial report was that without the day 1 patch, about 6 hours in the game on the Xbox Series X, and yeah, it is a big game, but it is filled with bugs according to him. So it runs at 60 FPS, or it ran at 60 FPS with a ton of frame drops. It also caused a ton of crashes, the controller not being recognized for a number of seconds, a ton of texture flickering, animations not working, tons of NPCs being duplicated, and a whole bunch of problems that pretty much made the game a kind of buggy mess. But keep in mind, this was before that 44 gigabyte size update, and he came in with an update to that to give his experience after he applied that patch, and according to him, it's pretty much night and day. So just with this patch before the day 1 patch, he experienced less pop-ins, less frame drops, and other bug fixes are making the game run much smoother than before. So this is kind of like a small little disclaimer for everybody who is indeed getting a review copy or an early version of the game. You might be lacking that update as well as the day 1 update that will provide the additional polish, and of course will get rid of most of the bugs that people are experiencing. experiencing. But in the meantime, he did mention that the game is amazing. He doesn't think anyone will be disappointed once these bugs are taken care of. And on a final note about the patch, he did mention that among other things and other bug fixes, it also added frame rate mode and some HDR settings officially to this, though of course we don't have any official patch notes to this update. But in the meantime, let's also talk about some more details about the game and some other early impressions from people who got their hands early on the game itself. And it seems that a big kicker over here is the quality of the main questline or the main story of Cyberpunk 2077. And even though there's so many things to play and go ahead and explore and do in the world of Cyberpunk, it seems that a ton of people are having trouble putting the main quest aside because it is that good and it is really engaging. So just a few more days, but it actually sounds really exciting. On the same note, we did talk about this, but there's also some details about how leveling a skill kind of works. So the same user, Scorpio 1.07, he was asked what game feature are you most surprised by so far, and he said that probably the way leveling a skill is tied to how often you use it, it makes your character so much more versatile. And we did had a glimpse of this in some of the recent PS5 gameplay videos and of course the gameplay trailer itself that kind of showcased that there are up to 10 levels for each of the skills that you get to unlock, and as you use that skill you level those up and get additional perks out of it. So that actually sounds really interesting. There's also confirmation about the crowd density in Cyberpunk. So of course we also had previous confirmations from people from IGN, for example, but according to the same user, the footage CDPR showed was a terrible representation of the crowd density. The crowd density is going to be great, and according to him, he didn't compare this with a 2018 trailer that showed the scene where you get out of V's apartment for the first time, but according to him, it is way better than he thought. When he first got out of V's apartment, he was shocked by the density, and he would say that it's probably pretty close to that of the 2018 gameplay, but it also depends on the part of the city and the time of the day, as it would be obvious. So maybe during the night you're not going to encounter that many people, as it is obvious from many of the other games out there too, but during the middle of the day, and especially in like the big districts, the more important ones, you're going to encounter quite a few people out there. And speaking of people, you can also encounter, as you might have known, hookers too. So this includes both male and female hookers, and there's even like a whole let's just say alleyway filled with these, according to some reports out there. So you can go in and just pay for their services if you don't have time or the patience for romance options. But yeah, this is it with many of the details regarding Cyberpunk 2077. Now the question of the day that arises is of course, what class, quote unquote, will you be playing in Cyberpunk 2077? Like, what type of build will you create in Cyberpunk 2077? Will it be a netrunner type of build that specializes in a ton of hacking, or will you play my preferred style, which is the stealth archer, where you go in and kind of use stealth and sniper abilities to just take enemies through walls with, of course, your kinetic weapons? That would be awesome to find out. As always, cast your opinion down below, and in the meantime, don't forget to subscribe and activate the notification bell, and I'll see you guys next time.